Alexis, and this is going to be a little video about one of the geeky things that I'm interested in, and that's the Big Bang. Now, I'm sure everybody's heard about the Big Bang, and there's all kinds of different theories about it and stuff like that. And for the most part, I think that scientists are pretty accurate, but I've always wondered, how can you make this entire gigantic universe that we have of nothing? It just doesn't make any sense. So I thought about it long and hard, and I looked at lots of different theories about what happened before the Big Bang, and I came up with something interesting. Something based on something we already know a little bit about, which is black holes. Okay, so we all know what black holes are, right? They are collapsed stars, and generally a great big giant star like this one here ends up collapsing upon itself when it dies after using all of its fuel. Now, it collapses down into a ball of neutrons, and then those neutrons collapse down on themselves even further to form a black hole. Sometimes there isn't enough matter there for it to collapse all the way, and then it turns into something like this, which is a neutron star. Now, this is what I call a baby black hole. It doesn't have quite enough matter on it yet to collapse fully and form a black hole. But once it does, it will. So anyway, this is the very beginning of a black hole. Once it goes into its next phase, it actually becomes a black hole, and it traps light, and no light will emit from it, and it creates a really, really deep gravity well. And over time, this gravity well keeps accumulating more and more matter as this hole continues to grow in size. And eventually, it gets to what I think is the next stage, which has actually been observed recently when we found galaxies where the black holes have so many solar masses. It's just unbelievable, like 17 billion solar masses inside this black hole. So it consumed a lot of stars. In fact, most of its parent galaxy. So now this giant black hole has consumed so many solar masses that we can actually start to measure it differently. Instead of measuring it by solar masses, we can use galactic masses, because this thing eats galaxies at this point. Now, why haven't we seen one of these yet? Well, out in space, now the more we look out there, we're finding bigger and bigger structures all the time. A lot of these structures include these really long galactic chains or galactic walls that we cannot see through, so we don't know what's behind them. These structures are really, really big, and a lot of people are thinking that they're too big to have formed in only 13.5 billion years, which means the universe could be a lot older than we think. Anyway, back to the black holes. So this black hole now has a galactic mass, and it's putting so much pressure on that one point where it's sitting in space-time that the gravity well is now so extreme that it can barely sustain itself. I think we're about to see the next stage of the black hole once it consumes enough matter. Now, as more and more billions of years go by, this giant black hole is now the biggest one in the universe that we know of, hypothetically, and it continues to devour galaxy after galaxy after giant black hole after giant black hole until it consumes a considerable amount of what's in the cosmic web. Everything gets pulled down, the filaments. All the filaments lead back to this black hole that becomes a central point where all of the matter is condensing. Now we get to the critical stage of the black hole, where it enters its final phase. There's so much matter accreted in this one point in space-time that it tears a hole in the fabric of space, exploding all of the matter out the other side, thus creating a Big Bang. So now this giant gargantuan black hole has released all of its matter in an instant, converting all of the matter into pure energy and spewing it into a different bubble in space-time. And that is how the Big Bang happened. At least that's my theory on it. Now, there's gotta be some way to make something out of nothing, and that's the only logical solution I could come up with. If you got something better, or if you can do the math on my theory, I would love to hear from you. Bye-bye.